given the ability to do everything that you're able to do to become whole.
So what you're saying is you think everyone out there is capable of doing their best in every avenue of their life.
Yeah.
Yes, that's their best. Because their best is not based on someone else's best. Like, I can't look at you or someone else and be like, oh, because this person is doing this, then I'm not doing enough. I know what my unique situation is, so I'm doing the best that I'm going to do. I'm my own competition.
I hate that saying, and I think that saying is,
Well, do your best.
I'm doing my best. I think it's bullshit.
I think I'm with you.
Well, damn.
I'm with you.
I do.
I was
I
going to
know.
piggyback on that real quick.
I think it's bullshit. I think it's a cop out.
Yep.
To think that you're doing the best for yourself?
No, for someone to
they're
always
still
say
mainstream.
I'm doing my best. Like what does that mean? That's not measurable,
It's a cop out.
right? Like
I disagree with that. I definitely don't think saying that is a cop out.
Doing your best, like if that's the excuse you always say and you're still in the same place, then doing your best is not your best because you haven't exhibited any growth.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, somebody doing their best continuously, you could kind of keep the scorecard. Like, you're not going to be in the same place in that category next year that you are now.
Right, but
Right.
if you are,
Or you might.
Because if you're doing your
According to what Urbanista was saying, you might. I mean, if you were doing your best, you could be at the same score.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you can't look at everybody else and say, this is what I'm going to be based on what I just see what that person is going through. Because, number one, you don't know what that person's doing on the first place, but you do. I mean, there's an aspect of admiring someone and saying, okay, this is something I value in what this person is doing. I'm going to try to, take some of that and make that who I am. But you can't just solely base who you are and what you're doing on what you see somebody else to be, is what I'm saying.
But I think results will tell the truth.
right?
Like, I think in the end, the results will tell. Right. I'll know what you were doing all those hours by the result.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and I can just, I always, again, I take it back to sports analogies, right? Even someone who is not physically gifted, and there's a lot of kids that play sports that aren't as
Right.
physically gifted as the next one. So if you're doing your best and week one, you can only bench 100 pounds.
Right.
And 2 months from that same week, you're benching 150 pounds.
Right.
And I know you're doing your best.
Yeah.
Because you're busting your butt at whatever limit to make gains.
Yeah.
So I take that to someone's regular living. Like, if you're doing the same thing in 1995 that you're doing in 2000, you're telling me that's your best? That's bullshit.
Yeah, you're right.
I can agree with that.
And so someone just to just throw that out, I'm doing my best, like that's unacceptable.
Right, and it's almost like from the outsider's perspective, you could be like, you don't know your potential. So I mean, I guess it will come from there.
And that's used a lot in relationships. Like, let's face it, a lot of people say that in relationships, I'm doing my best, and they keep saying that repeatedly over and over again, but they're still stagnant. They're still in the same place they were at the very beginning. And so were you really doing your best, or was that a cop-out within that particular relationship?
Right, and so, and if I'm wrong, everyone needs to correct me, but so what I do understand is that, like, if someone just has a natural gift and ability and they're able to perform at a way higher function than you are, like, that's okay because they have a gift that you don't have. But if you take that as the cop-out or the excuse to say, well, this is my best right here, so I'm staying here because I can't do that because that's what
then you're limiting yourself.
Right. But people will say that and say, I'm doing my best, and this is, I can't do that because I just can't do it. So this is my best. And to me, and you can use that in relationships, you can use that in life. You can, and the reason, and I'm glad we're talking about this because it really pisses me off because I work with a lot of young black boys in the city, right? And I hear that shit so much. I'm doing my best. Right. And I'm like, well, what is the best?
Right.
Like, and you couldn't,
like, you couldn't do a little bit better. Just try to do a little something extra.
Well, but that's a good point because what are they measuring against? And if their best is, here for them, but it's here for you, then it looks a lot different.
Right.
Just based on life experiences. And
I get that. And I understand opportunity, I understand the whole dynamic of how success works. But if you can't tell me what the best is at all, your best, my best, your mama's best, like, if you have no concept of best, right, then you can't tell me you're doing your best, right?
True.
And if you've never been pushed before to go past what you think is your best, then your best does not exist.
I think once you do your best, you realize it because you're totally spent.
Right.
You're spent. You don't have. It ain't nothing left.
I agree.
And you know, it's funny. I like the cartoon King of the Hill, and I like cartoons. So Hank Hill, who's the dad, he was explaining something to his son, and then he was like, "Is there anything that football? Is there any lesson that football doesn't teach?" Because he was